growth engine. So you can see here, you might be able to see here, this is all the things I do to grow my business. You can see that there's kind of some remarketing, and I kind of split it into two parts. One part is the things that are scalable. That's anybody here should be able to do those things. On the other hand, I have non-scalable things. Those are things that are maybe situational to me, and there's things like I'm writing a book right now, through Penguin Publishing. So those types of things are situational to me because of the things I've done. But you should also have situational things for your own businesses. But you can see here, I use content for all different parts of the funnel. A lot of people, I think they use content marketing and they say, I want to get more traffic. Well, that's only one part of it. And a lot of times when they create content, when they do content marketing, they create content but they forget to do the marketing part. And so today I'm going to share with you 11 things on 11 ways on how to use content marketing to grow. So let's jump into it. And actually, before we jump into it, I want to share with you, I'm not just talking a big game. I do this actually for a living. I actually use this for 4 different companies to grow. So when I worked.com, I served as the VP of marketing prior to WebProfits. And through content marketing, we built a whole kind of demand gen with 5,000 new trials and leads coming in a month. We use it for WebProfits. It generates about 175 new leads roughly a month. And if you go to our blog, webprofits.agency, you'll notice that we don't publish often. And I'll get to that in a little bit, but it's not about volume. It's never been about volume. It's about quality. And Mailchimp and LinkText, other companies I run, content marketing contributes quite a bit of growth to these businesses. So let's jump into it. The first and foremost, biggest rule, if you get nothing else out of this presentation, walk away with this quote. If you want to succeed in content marketing, create something significantly better than your best competitor. What that does is, it puts you at the very top. It makes you the best, or at least aiming to be best. I think too many people, when they create content or do content marketing, they look at these companies and they're like, I want to do that. Well, why don't you try to beat what they do? Look at the best player in your space and beat them. And don't go and try to create 5, 10, 20, 30 articles or pieces of content. Create one. And when you create one and it works, do it again. And when you figure out, oh, this is the things that actually worked the first time, because you will learn a lot from your first one to your second one, do it a third time and do it again, and then figure out the cadence. But the bottom line is to create something significantly better than your best competition. So, as I mentioned, a lot of people use content marketing for the top of the funnel, but there's a lot more you can use with that same content that you create, right? So, top of the funnel content, you can use, some co-marketing, you can create epic content, 10x content, pillar content, as HubSpot calls it. There's lots of different names for it. Things like ebooks, checklists, videos, and things like that. That's great top of the funnel stuff. Guest posts, right? You can write content for someone else's site and hopefully bring some of that audience back to your site, which is great, but there's a lot more different ways. And content circles, I'll define that in a few slides, but content circles are things right around your core topic. And you'll notice none of the things I'm mentioning here ever says, talk about yourself. So rule number 2 of content marketing is don't talk about yourself. At least not at the beginning. And if you absolutely have to talk about yourself, only do it about 20% of the time. Because frankly, they're coming to your site, they know who you are, and you don't need to talk about what you do, your product updates, a tour, a demo. That's not content marketing. That's a demo of your product. That's a sales content. And when it comes to middle of the funnel, the things that happen when somebody's considering your content, think about influencer content, right? Company Kissmetrics, they get about 2-3 million visitors a month, and they don't produce any content themselves. They hire and reach out and get influencers, marketing people, analytics professionals, anybody who has a personal brand and really in-depth knowledge, and they get them to contribute to their site. So if you're just starting off and you don't have a brand or any audience, go get the people who do have a brand and get them to your site. Videos, webinars, again, co-marketing can work as well, right? So because it's a part of your trust. If you do co-marketing with RV Station, generally that will lift your brand up because they have a huge brand, huge presence. And things like behind the scenes content can work really, really well as well because it shows transparency. It shows that you don't just talk the talk, you actually live what you do, and it makes people fall in love with your brand and your story, your message, and that is something you cannot buy. And so don't forget about that type of content. And lastly, the consideration, the very last value funnel, things like customer stories, success stories, things like asking your customers questions. Check this out, guys. Ask your customers or your audience questions, and then for your content, answer it. It's really, really simple, right? A lot of people forget that they can do that, and all it takes is one email. In fact, a lot of times I've seen clients and myself, we put at the very bottom of the email as like a PS, like, hey, want something answered or interested in a topic? Let us know. And we have consistent feedback. And the most common questions, when I cross-reference it with high search volume or keyword volume, and I find out what to write about. So those are things you can use. And again, the top of the funnel content you create can be layered in there. Some of the most successful content in the top of the funnel has actually improved my conversion rate. So let's jump into it. 11 tactics. And again, don't focus on trying to get all 11 down. Take away one thing from this presentation, just one of these things. Because a lot of this stuff is going to take time. Oh yeah. And remember I said, create something better than your best competition? Well, at the very least, stop creating mediocre content. If it's been done before, if you can Google the key phrase and you can see content on that exact topic, don't write about it. Somebody already else did, and it doesn't help you build your brand. So don't copycat or don't create content that's the level of a competitor or the people in the space. It won't help you, especially if you're just getting started with content marketing. So the first thing is epic content. 10x content, pillar content, whatever you want to call it. Content that's educational. Typically this is an ebook, course, things that are going to make your customers smarter. So 2 examples. One is for my company Mailchimp. We created this playbook on cold email outreach. That's what we do. And so the keyword we're going after was email outreach. That was exactly what we wanted to go after. And so we created this big piece of content. It's about 17,000 words or so. It's well designed. It is a PDF downloadable thing, but it's also HTML and ungated. So we create this epic content that can drive top of the funnel traffic. And then some sort of email opt-in, essentially a PDF version of the same thing, to get people's email addresses, and at the very top we said sign up for Mailchimp, right? And so this thing has generated dozens of sales on a monthly basis. It gets shared in lots of Facebook groups, and we also use this exact content in our email onboarding because our customers have asked us, or when we look at the data, we noticed our customers could use some help in writing email copy, figuring out strategies on how to use our tool. And so this same top of the funnel piece of content actually is something that our customers use, and it actually causes our customers to share and spread the word about Mailchimp. And so this one piece of content actually helps us get more ROI from our existing customers because they spread the word. The thing on the right I want to share with you is this article we created around the keyword team building games. It's a huge high search volume keyword, and you might not be able to see this screenshot, so I'll zoom in a bit. This one piece of content has generated 1.5 million views in the last 23 months, and it consistently gets about 100,000 visitors a month because it ranks for some high volume keywords like team building games and building employee culture and things like that. And we didn't just start with this really big piece of content. What we actually did was we worked our way up to a big piece of content. So what we did is we started a blog post with the hopes of it becoming an ebook or a 10x piece of content or epic piece of content. And as it started to get some traffic, we did more updates. We emailed our list again. We kept adding more stuff. So it started off as a blog post, about 2,000 words, and then we added images, and then we added some navigation elements, and then we added interactive elements. Then we made it a PDF. And because we consistently updated it, Google loved us. And we consistently promoted it and built links to it. It consistently got more traffic, and that's what got us to about 100,000 visitors a month. So not all content that's epic needs to start that way. In fact, I urge you all to take a look at your analytics, take a look at your blog, see what's getting traffic now, and take maybe the top 5 articles and figure out how you can make them better. Figure out how you can get them to work harder for you. And oftentimes that just means updating them. It means adding some visual elements. Just by simply adding design, the experience gets better. It becomes from a blog post to some sort of visual piece of content. Think about how you can repurpose that content. So don't let one piece of content go to waste. And oftentimes, your best content is behind you. So go back and optimize and leverage that further. The second thing is content circles. Content circles is one of the most powerful ways to build your audience, to build traffic to your brand. And the reason this works well is because content circles is essentially, if you have a business, it's your business. Let's say for me, I'm a marketing agency. That's me in the middle. A content circle is everything, every topic that relates to things around marketing. So customer success, right? That's still marketing related. Churn, that's still marketing related. Sales, that's sales and marketers work together. Social media, so think about all the different topics around that. And here's an example, so it's very crystal clear. If you think about the company WhenIWork.com, which is a employee management software, very boring. If we talked about employee management software, you guys would all be falling asleep right now. It is boring. Nobody cares. And it's actually only this small of an industry. You have to be the right fit, you have to care, you have to have an hourly business, you have to be specific criteria. But what else is around our management software? Employee engagement. Who uses us? Or who could use or benefit from this? Small businesses. Things like productivity, management, culture, HR. These are all things around our core topic, our company. So talk about those other things that are around your business, and that will help you generate demand and interest, because I can guarantee you, talking about HR or culture is 1,000 times bigger, if not more, than if you were to talk about employee management and make our users fall asleep. Now, we'll still include some of that stuff in between, but when you start thinking about this thing as a very, very broad kind of content circle, very broad audience, you have a lot more topics to think about, and you have a lot more traffic you can gain, because then you can be the industry leader. Another thing is, if you combine 1 and 2 together, if you combine the epic content I talked about, really, really, meaty content, 20,000 words, well-designed, downloadable PDF, some sort of asset people can take and own with them, and something that is content circle that's not about exactly what you do. That's when the magic happens. That's when you have something that can get thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of visitors and can bring you a lot more traffic. Now, the relevancy will be a lot more, but I can guarantee you, if all of you guys had 1 million visitors, you can figure out how to convert at least some small portion of them. And no one's going to complain if you have 1 million visitors, trust me. So think about that. The other thing is to use your best content and epic content to nurture and onboard your users. I mentioned this with my playbook, right? I take the best content I have, I take the stuff I picked at the top of the funnel, and I figure out where does it fit in my user journey? Where can I plug this in my content? And a lot of times, it's, after somebody signs up, or if somebody's using it, if using our tool. And for example, at Mailshake, we're an outbound sales tool. So when you send cold emails out and you get bad results, anybody who has less than 25% open rates using our software, we send them a little message that says, looks like you could use some help. And most of the time, the reason they have bad open rates is their subject lines are bad. Their email copy is bad. So we send them content from our blog, that PDF, and we say, hey, go to page 15. Page 15 will help you write better subject lines and better copy. And and our users love us for it. And so will others. So think about where in your funnel you can use your top of the funnel content. And actually, one of the things we do a lot of is when we come up with ideas, we typically brainstorm ideas on a monthly basis. We will then figure out where in the funnel that fits. And sometimes our content is, oh, this is consideration content. Oh, this is content for our existing customers. This is top of the funnel content. So we list out where we can use it, and we start to include it into our onboarding emails, messaging. If you use, any intercom, drift, what have you, you can include these things into your in-app messages. Again, making your customers smarter. A very, very powerful thing. Number 5 I'm going to share with you. This is probably the most powerful thing I've done in my career to build my personal brand and kind of get me on the map is doing guest posts. I love guest posts because it can get me in front of other people's audience, right? I can blog on my site, sure. I get, I think, 35, 40,000 visitors a month, but that's just my site. That's people who already know me. Maybe they come to the site, what have you. But if I blog on RV Station, if I blog on Content Tools, if I blog on raw content, again, I'm a content marketer, marketing person. If I blog on other people's sites, that's going to get me their audience coming to my brand, to my site. It's going to get me in front of a lot more people. I think a lot of people are like, I have to own this traffic. I have to get the traffic for myself. Actually, you don't. When you do this, your brand searches go down. You get in front of a different person's audience, and what I negotiate every time I guest post is I ask them, I make sure they're going to email their list, their database, with this piece of content. So I put a lot of effort into the content because I know they're going to email their database. So I'm going to get in front of a lot of different people. And you can even just not blog on your own site and do this and actually be successful. Now, when you combine that with SEO, good old-fashioned keyword research, that's when magic actually starts to happen. So here's the way I leverage this, and I think this is something everybody here can do. Is first and foremost, whatever industry you're in, make a list of the top 50, 100 sites, blogs in your industry. And you can go off of domain authority, you can go off of traffic, the number of shares, the number of followers they have on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. If they have an audience, that's all you're really trying to figure out. And you want to organize them in terms of who's your best ones. Why? This is your hit list. This is your dream list. This is the ones you want to work your way towards. Right? And you might not be able to get to the top one, but you can get to the bottom one, and then you can work your way up. That's exactly what I did 3 years ago. So when you do this, you can use tools like SEMrush. I think they're out here, or any type of keyword research tool. I prefer SEMrush because I like the dashboard. It's really simple, and I cross-reference that. I search for the domain. Now, what I'm looking for is what keywords are they ranking for. So I want to figure out where they're strongest in SEO. And then what I do is I will figure out, and this is me kind of going back and brainstorming, is let's say they rank well for customer success. Well, I will go and figure out, and I'm a content marketing person, I will go figure out what can I talk about that's related to customer success and content marketing. And this is important because you're leveraging the assets, what Google already thinks is them as a strong authority in customer success, and marrying it with something that is valuable to you. In fact, I'll even do something where it's not even that valuable to me because I think if I write about customer success, I'm more likely to rank. Now I get another source of organic traffic coming to my article, seeing my company or my brand on there. It builds brand loyalty. It builds authority, right? So this is a way also it builds traffic. So this is a great way to leverage it. So look at your sites, look at your industry, and figure out the top sites. Now, somebody who's like, my industry's a niche. I don't think somebody can, I don't think there's many blogs on my site. So I looked up knitting, like sewing, right? And there's 150 blogs on knitting. So if there's 150 blogs on knitting, I guarantee there's at least a couple dozen anyone in your industry. So don't use that as an excuse. The next thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, is to invite influencers to write for your site. Just as you are writing, if you want to become an influencer when you guest post on other people's sites, invite the people who are writing often and who are authorities in the space, people you look up to. So usually I make a list of the top 50 to 100 influencers in my space, and I'm in the marketing space, so it's a little easy, right? I can just Google top 50, top 100 marketers, and Google is your friend. Just Google top, whatever your keyword is, influencers, top, whatever your keyword is, bloggers, and you'll find really good people. Now, a lot of these people are blogging not because they love blogging. They're doing the same thing you're trying to do. They're trying to build up their brand. They're trying to make money, right? They're trying to get out there. So invite the people who are writing for other people's sites that are related to you to your site and have them create something of value. And if you need to pay them, pay them. What I recommend, what I've done really, really well, or I've seen work really, really well, is incentivize them. So say, hey, can you write for free, and if you get X amount of traffic, I'll give you $50 or $500 if you move the price really high. And that way, they're incentivized not just to write for you, not just to do the content part of content marketing, they're incentivized to do the marketing part of content marketing. And I guarantee you guys, the marketing part of content marketing, the distribution, the promotion, those types of things, those activities are way more important than the content you create now. Don't get me wrong, you still have to create good content, or great content, or better content than your best competitor. But then you have to spend most of your time, I usually spend 80% of my time promoting that great content, the distribution. So the marketing part, a lot of people forget that you don't just write content and hit publish. That's only 20% of the way. So don't forget to promote content. And again, influencers generally want to look good. They're usually guest blogging to build their brand. So they're going to make themselves look good. They're going to promote it, and if you put money on top of that, or an incentive, it generally works really, really well. Now, I mentioned this before, behind the scenes content. It works incredibly well. This is an example of our behind the scenes content. So I run a marketing agency called WebProfits. There's probably 5 million agencies out there in the world. And the number one question I know is on our potential clients' minds, or people who are looking to hire a marketing agency, is how are you different? How are you better than everyone else, right? We get asked that question all the time in our sales calls. And I've talked to a lot of agency folks, and they get asked that all the time. They have to figure out, what's my unique angle? What's my thing? Now, when you're on a sales call, sure, you can give this deal of, this is how we're different, blah, 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 blah. That's being reactive, right? So my sales team told me that's the number one questions people ask them when they're talking. So I was like, I'm going to write a blog post about this. And we actually send, when somebody contacts us, before we talk to them on the phone, or we do a call, we send them 3 or 4 articles. One talks about how we're different, and the way we're different is that we have our organization set up like a in-house marketing team. It doesn't make the most money, but it definitely works the best from our experience. But the other way we're different is that we actually do the stuff we talk about. A lot of companies, write about this stuff. They say they can do it, but we actually do it. And so I created a video on that slide from earlier of my marketing strategy. I created a video that walks people through the exact process we use to grow our companies. And so I literally sent them this video before they asked the question. So it circumvents that, and when we are on the phone, we can actually say, hey, I sent you that article, we talk about we're different because of this, that, and the other, and we get in front of it. So we share this behind the scenes stuff, really it's just behind the scenes stuff, internal information, because people love it. It's our differentiating factor. And I mentioned this earlier, people can fall in love with what you do. People can really feel like they know you. And people don't know us, but they feel like they know us because they saw me on a video, they talked to us on the phone, and they know how we operate in our structure. And I openly say, guys, this is not a very profitable business because we spend a lot of money and time on hiring and building out more people than we need, but people respect us for that. So it's integrity. It's showing your integrity. That's something you can't hide. Another big thing, I like talking to my customers. Lincoln, you guys saw Lincoln Murphy earlier, talking about customer success. I love my customers, right? You should love your customers too. Not because they pay me money. I love them because these guys are walking, talking billboards, advertisements about my company. If I give one of my customers a great experience, they're more likely to tell their friends. They're more likely to recommend us to somebody who needs us. And at Mailshake, our biggest growth channel is actually word of mouth. But it comes from content marketing. Because we're talking to our customers, and what we started doing is interviewing our customers, or interviewing experts in the space. Now, we're not interviewing customers or people in the space and saying, hey, tell us how you use Mailshake. I don't care about that. Remember I said, don't talk about yourself. I asked them, what are you doing to be so successful in outbound sales or in cold emails? Right, so Mailshake is a outreach platform, but people use it for outbound sales. People use it for link building. And so what I do is, I ask the customers, how are you using this for link building? Walk me through your process. I've even gone as far as emailing and interviewing people who don't even use our platform, because I don't care about my blog post or interview talking about my software. That's not going to help me get sales. What's helping me actually get people to be more successful is talking about how they're successful. And so we write in a very tool or systemized way, tool agnostic, meaning we don't have them talk about us. It works really, really well. So you should do that as well. And again, don't talk about yourself. And when you put the rule of like, don't talk about yourself, it gets really, really hard to do, right? Like, how do you talk about and build your brand without mentioning your name? But try that practice, and even if you don't succeed, you'll talk about yourself a little less than you normally would, and it shows, right? Because you don't want your customer stories to read as a sales page or a sales pitch. That doesn't add value. That's not content marketing, that's sales. That's sales collateral. But I'm talking about how to use and make your sales collateral content and content marketing. So make sure you check that out. And here's an example. This guy, Sol Orwell, is not a customer of ours. He just did a really good job. I talked to him. I was like, I want to tell your story because 64% open rates or some ridiculously high conversion rate. I was like, I got to hear what the hell you're doing. Can I do this too? Selfishly, I kind of wanted to see what he did so I can do it, but I really also wanted to share his story. So definitely very, very helpful. Speaking of customers, right? Survey your audience if you don't have customers. Survey your customers. Even if you have 100, 50, 20, whatever. If you have under 100, you may want to like email them personally because the surveys typically work better when there's a volume play. But email them and ask them what problems they have. Like, not problems with your software or solution or your service. I'm saying actual problems in real life. So we did this at whenIwork.com. And we asked all of our small businesses, we had about 3,000, 4,000 customers at the time, we asked them, hey, what are your biggest problems? And at first they're like, well, your software is buggy and it does this, that, the other. I was like, wait, no. I don't want to hear about the problems with our software. What are your problems in your life? And somebody said, my wife wants to divorce me because I won't be home. But I can't solve that one. But some people did say, I'm having trouble hiring people. I'm having trouble. I have an employee I need to fire. I don't know how to do this. How do I onboard employees? How do I retain them? How do I build a culture? And remember those content circles I talked about? This is my customers telling me content circles, right? HR, culture, onboarding, employee management, things like that, are my customers telling me their real life problem. And what I did was I created an ebook or epic content on these problems. So at whenIwork.com, we created content like an employee management handbook. We created onboarding templates and firing and hiring templates and emails so people can hire and fire legally because a lot of people just emailing them very unprofessionally, and that's not a good time to figure that stuff out. So we just asked for customer problems, and we solved it for them. It was really, really simple. Now, it sounds simple as an afterthought, but this is the process we use to come up with ideas. Here's another example. At WebProfits, we do nothing with Snapchat. We're not a social media agency. We've tested Snapchat unsuccessfully, meaning it hasn't really moved the needle for us. But a year ago, our customers, a year to 2 years ago, Snapchat was in the news. People were like, how do I figure this out? Maybe there's a way for businesses to use this. And so we had a lot of our customers, when we surveyed them, and they said, I want to know more about Snapchat. Is this a tool we can use? And so we created a whole ebook and blog post on Snapchat. Again, part of our content circle, nothing we do, but one of the top questions our customers and our email list asked us. So we created content on that, really, really simple. I said this before, and I'll say it again. Some of your best content is probably behind you, right? Stuff you did 2 years ago, 5 years ago. If you've been around for 5 years, congratulations. But maybe a year ago, 6 months ago, at my site, my personal blog, SujanPatel.com, even our agency, WebProfits agency blog, and Milkshake, our best content is from 2013 and 2016. It's the stuff that gets the most traffic. And so, if I know this is already getting traffic, what I'm doing is figuring out how to get it to get me more ROI. How do I make this work harder for me? So, take your written content, maybe you can turn it into webinars, you can repurpose it, maybe you can turn it into a video. In fact, my whole YouTube channel is repurposed content in shorter form, in bite-sized amounts of my best blog posts or questions I get asked the most. So think about how you can use it in different formats. It works really well because people, I don't know about you, but I can't sit in a classroom and learn. But I love audiobooks. I can't read a book. I just don't have the patience for it. I always fall asleep. But I love audiobooks. I love videos that are like 5 minutes or shorter because that's as much as my attention span goes. And so when you repurpose your content, you're catering for things and ways people learn, right? That ebook that did really well for you, turn it into a webinar. That ebook that did really well for you, turn that into 15 different videos. And now you have all this collateral that can drive you traffic in multiple different ways because the second biggest search engine in the world is YouTube. And with video, Facebook and LinkedIn are both pushing video very, very hard. And so you can actually turn your written content to video content. Now, I know you're thinking like, oh, I'm really bad on camera. You don't actually have to do it yourself. You can use tools like Go Animate. You can hire professional people who can record the sound for you. They can read your blog post and almost transcribe it. So you can go to Go Animate. It's an easy to use tool. You can just go to Upwork and find people who are voiceover specialists and video people and make this video for a few $100 based off your best content. And this is an example we did for our best content at WebProfits. We turned this blog post that did really, really well on referral marketing into a webinar. And actually, the webinar outperformed our blog post in terms of driving leads. So we got like 400 or 500 people that actually joined the webinar. But what ended up happening is that a few of those guys became the customers. And so that's when we actually figured out, or turned into prospects, and then a few of those people turned into customers. And that's actually when we figured out that webinars for us is not top of the funnel content because it can't get nearly the amount of people to the site or bring as much traffic as a blog post can, but it can really bring people into a funnel and be interested in hiring us. So that's when we figured this out. So webinars can be a top of the funnel thing to do, but it could also be a different thing to do. Now, how many people here are salespeople? Salespeople, anybody? Okay, how many people have customer support or customer success people? How many people have customers? Come on, you got a lot of customers. Okay, so look, your customers are talking to, or your prospects are talking to your salespeople. Your customers are talking to your customer support or customer success people. Get them to send content to your customers. We did this process where, when I worked at we looked into it, we used Zendesk. So we looked at all the, and there's a tag cloud you can use for Zendesk. So we looked at like all the tag clouds from our customer support messages, and we found management. And you're going to hear the same topics I mentioned around the content circles. So we found a lot of things that people asked about. And so we asked our customer support people, hey, at the end of your ticket, ask the customer what's something they're having a problem with. And they're going to respond. So now you take a customer support ticket into a the conversation of being helpful, so now you're proactive. And then at the end of that, when they respond with whatever, we send them a piece of content. So the marketing team created a spreadsheet of here's the tag, and based off the response, send them this article. And we updated it weekly based off of the content that would fit. And instead of asking the customers, hey, what's your problem? We changed it up to saying, okay, at the end of each customer support ticket, we said, P.S., I think you'll like this article because it looks like your business is growing, and it was on management. I think you'll like this article because you mentioned that you fired some people or whatever. So actually give your customer support some context to send content. And we actually saw, by doing this one thing, we do NPS surveys, so Net Promoter Scores, every quarter. We actually saw an increase in our NPS score, and the comments people left wasn't, oh, your software is awesome, or blah, blah, blah. It was, we love your content. So customers were forced to see our content from our customer support team. We did the same thing with sales. Instead, on sales side, after the intro call, we found a huge drop-off of so people, I think it was 67% of people who become a trial end up jumping on the phone with the salesperson, but most people never have a second conversation or don't, they kind of drop off. And so I said, hey, look, let's see if we can solve this with content marketing. So at the end of the sales call, our sales team said, hey, I'm going to follow up with you. I'm going to send you a few articles that I think would be really helpful to your business. And again, we went to this spreadsheet that we created, and we sent them some of the best content. Now, if you follow up with some content or sales collateral, that's kind of boring. But if you follow up with content and you let them know you're going to follow up with helpful content for your business, they'll actually open their emails. And that one piece of thing actually double the amount or reduce the drop-off in half and double the amount of follow-ups and improve the conversion rate. So make sure you use your content for all parts of your product. And if you're lazy, there's a tool called Sixter, which you, the marketer, or whoever wants to be in control, can update this content in people's signatures really, really easily without having to do any work. Well, thank you guys, and I will be around later for questions.